You're watching BCTV, Brantford's Community Access Station.
Welcome to Connecticut's hottest talk show, Just Sayin', where we are definitely inspiring, thought-provoking, and at times quite opinionated. Hello, ladies. How are we doing today?
Hi.
Excellent. How are you?
Wonderful. Well, we always start out with the drink of the day, and Erica brought us the drink, so tell us, Erica, about this
I
one.
notice yours is half gone, Cindy.
I know. Drinking the drink.
I guess it's pretty tasty.
It's really
so
good.
I wanted to do something light, just so if you have guests coming over last minute. So we threw in some cranberry juice, some ginger ale, and champagne, because we all have champagne just at your beck and call. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In my house,
And then to add some color, some texture to the drink, I added some cranberries.
So this is healthy, everybody, because cranberries, antioxidants are in here.
That's
And I
right.
debated
That's
between
right.
cranberry or cherry juice, and I went with the cherry for antioxidant.
There we go.
Do we have a name for this? Did you make up a name for it?
It's the cherry champagne spritzer.
We are going to come out with that book of our featured drinks from Just Sayin'.
We do.
Good.
Yeah, we do.
Excellent.
Cheers.
Well, there are a
Cheers.
lot of things going on in the news, and we always like to talk about hot topics to start out with. And Connecticut has no shortage of headlines. One of the interesting thing that's coming out is our governor took a trip to Germany, as you guys probably heard, and he visited some different juvenile detention centers there. And one of his new things he wants to promote is changing the age of criminal delinquents. Instead of it being 18, moving it up to 20. So I don't know if you guys had any thoughts about that. I know Stephanie's quite...
Well, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I actually
Oh.
go for this because maybe it's because I have two teenage kids. And, you can't imagine, it really, if a 17-year-old kid or an 18-year-old kid gets in, does something stupid, they face serious consequences. The rest of their life is ruined. And really, their brains aren't even developed until they're 20. So I'm for this.
But you can allow them to go into the military. At 18, they can go into
And
the
vote.
military and vote and everything else. I mean, and then I think
I almost
that
think
all
it's too young
systems
for
need to be looked
military
at.
too. But
Well,
Yeah, I agree.
that's another
Actually,
direction
17.
to go in.
You
Yeah,
can go into the
certainly.
Guard at 17, and I'm looking into this because my stepson is interested in going to this, so I'm very familiar with this topic. So yeah, he's a baby. He's way too young.
Well, it is for nonviolent crimes, but it's interesting. You guys all remember the Skakel case, and when he committed the crime, or let me just say, allegedly, whatever the thing is, but he was 16 years old, and at the
15,
time,
I
he
think.
would have been tried as a juvenile. And it's because then the laws changed, but it's interesting because I kind of, in a way, maybe it's because I have a boy now who's 13, I don't know. But
I'm the same.
You wonder, I think you need to be accountable for your actions at any age, but I think how we handle them in the adult system versus the juvenile system and what things are offered, which leads to the next sort of hot topic that's in the news, is what's happening with our detention centers. There was a report over the summer that revealed a very unfavorable report on what's happening to our youth in one of the juvenile detentions,
So
and particularly mentally ill.
The conditions,
Connecticut or
the
in
conditions like
In
food,
Connecticut.
housing kind of
No,
situation.
no,
Kids
how
are
you treat-
actually
Stephanie
being
was reading.
physically restrained. So the conditions allegedly are really deplorable. And what they found was that there are young kids in these detention centers that are actually being shackled and handcuffed
And isolated.
and isolated as a punitive measure for
And
something
what
that they
kind
were
of
doing
what
in
kind
there.
of crimes are ending them up there, though?
They could be
It could
everything.
be, yeah, it could be a number of
Violent,
different
it could
things.
be,
Yeah, it could be, violent, nonviolent crimes. Yeah.
But it's interesting because not that it's funny because we talked about this the other day about the concept of what's happened in our juvenile, and our guest today is going to talk about this a little later, but our juvenile court system, and it's supposed to be a court of you know, where they're really working at rehabilitating the individuals and getting them the resources, and you know, we try to do that with everyone, but particularly with our youth. So, you know, you wonder, is you see on TV oftentimes they'll show studies of places that do, you know, hard time for youngsters and put them in very like boot camp environments, and those have worked. They're not hurting the youth. I don't think that should be. But you wonder what measures work for what kids.
Well, this brings up mental health issues.
Right.
I was going to say, the
And
article
treating
that we
mental
were
health
looking-
in teenagers.
And part of that is mental health, but should we even open up the floodgate about the parental involvement? You know, how many of the kids that are actually in these detention centers have a legitimate mental health condition that's caused them, and their parents, they're out of control. Parents, despite their best efforts, haven't been able to do anything with them, versus parents that really have either, for whatever reason, life circumstance or whatever, just aren't as involved in the raising or rearing of their kids as
Because
they
they're
should
working
be.
and their kids
So-
are in full daycare full time.
But then you also
it's an
have to,
issue.
you also have to look at what happens to the kids when they're put into our school systems. And the first goal from the first day they walk through those doors as a freshman is to get them into college. So they're not even able to be in the moment. They have to keep pushing for the future. And the parents
point.
are what's pushing them like crazy. The schools are pushing them. My daughter was a senior. They wanted to put her in 4 AP classes. And that may have been good for some kids, but she was an athlete. She was in the orchestra.
Yeah,
she was
can't do it.
doing all kinds of stuff. And AP, you know, it's just too much. The kids
too
are
much.
really having a hard time with it. I can't tell you how many kids got that trip going down to Yale Psych now from the high school. It's
So
just
really, it's
not a
not
good
barred
thing.
by community or economic background, because we're seeing in the inner cities the challenges there, but we're seeing it in the affluent
It
community.
depends
definitely.
on
We're
the kind
seeing
of
it
pressure.
everywhere.
I don't know if kids should be
Sometimes
under this
even
kind
more
of
in the
pressure.
affluent communities.
You have to read by kindergarten now.
Because parents aren't home. You know,
freaking out.
Most child crime, supposedly, at least this was a statistic I always heard, is between 3 and 6 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
When
Latchkey kids.
Yeah, latchkey kids. And so again, that's where parent involvement comes in too.
Right.
Well, what age do you think is appropriate to leave a kid home at all alone at school? I mean, you have a legal age.
Yeah.
What is it, 12 or something?
it's
I don't
I
not.
think it really depends on the
It's
child.
like an
depends on
unsaid
what- yeah.
town law, from my understanding. It's 12. Otherwise, I could leave Jackson home alone at age 3.
Well, my son
Legally.
is 12, and we've done it once. We live in New Haven, and I do not feel comfortable. I verbalized that I do not
environment.
feel comfortable. When he went down south to visit my family in Georgia, my mother lives in not the inner city, and so she did leave him home alone, and there wasn't as much of a concern. I felt a little bit safer in that environment.
The other thing is
culture's
you're all
changed.
connected.
Down
But Lisa,
south.
when did you
This
leave
is
your
so
girls? Because they were
different now.
babysitting, including my
Because you
children.
have a phone at the
I'm
restaurant
thinking
you're at.
At 12, she started babysitting.
But I'm thinking
I
on a
think.
regular basis, not like a one-time thing. I got to run out to the stores,
Oh.
but on a regular
You
basis.
like get off the bus, you're home by yourself?
Yes.
I would say at 11, 12 at the earliest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
And
But
that's
I
even
think
young.
it should be for limit. Like what we've done with our son is at 10 I would like run to the store or something quick, or
But he
you know.
has little baby sisters.
Well,
too,
no.
so-
He never. I don't leave
Okay.
him alone. No,
Right.
no. So, no, he's 13.
before the
This
baby
was
sisters.
before the baby sisters. But I would give him the responsibility. But even now, like he knows, but he doesn't know when we're coming home. He doesn't know that we could be home in 5 minutes. We could be home in 15, and we don't leave him that long.
Right.
But he doesn't know when my husband and I are going to pop in. But we want him to also start taking responsibility.
Put away
for
the beer
himself.
kegs. And
Yeah, exactly. But they do stupid things. So this is the thing. He goes to a party Saturday night. It was an adult kid football party, and my husband went. I was home with the girls because they weren't feeling well. And he took a video. This is like 13-year-old boys. They made a thing where they were blowing darts out and shooting each other's butts. I mean, this is 13.
But not real darts. You're talking like paper something.
No, like thumbtack things. I mean,
real
so this is why these kids can't be left alone. You know?
Should he be tried as an adult?
At least he wasn't throwing about his sister. No, he doesn't. But it was like the kids were all they were
That's what I
videotaping
mean
each
about
other.
That's
teenage
awesome.
brains.
They
needing
need,
The lack
and
of
it goes back to what you
judgment.
said.
Yes.
But
It
they
wasn't on
need
a video game.
supervision.
Yeah, they do.
Playing towards all of this, the other day on the news they were talking about these ghost apps, and that's not an app that finds ghosts. It's an app that you can download for free, and it looks like a calculator. So you can actually, it functions as a calculator.
Oh, wow.
But if the person knows the code, they punch the code in, and it opens up this hidden place where kids are sharing photos
Nude
and
photos.
videos and nude ones.
See, this is
Yeah,
what scares
but
me
you
about
gotta
ISIS.
be-
That is bad.
ISIS is going through social media
And
through
that's
these
another way to-
encrypted, coded things that our kids are all savvy to.
That's bad.
But
Crazy.
these middle-aged FBI guys are,
Well,
stumped.
Snapchat's not doing it anymore. It used to be Snapchat.
Listen,
Send
maybe
something
we
to
need to
Snapchat, it
shackle
would
all
dissolve.
these kids. You know what I mean?
Shackle 'em.
No. we're kidding.
No, but they're-
Well, we have an incredible. I'm with you, Toad. No, it's
could go
not
on and
raising
on.
kids. We have an incredible guest coming up, the Honorable Clarance Jones, who served on the Connecticut bench for close to 2 decades. He wrote an awesome book called Triumph, and it's fiction, but it's based on sort of some reality about our juvenile court system and an individual that went through the system. So we're really excited to meet with him, and I look forward to chatting with him. Thank you. Welcome back, and I'm glad you're all joining us again here at Just Saying, Connecticut's hottest new talk show. And I'm truly excited and honored to have here the Honorable Clarance Jones, who is a judge here in Connecticut, retired judge. Judge Jones was born in Montgomery, Alabama, where he participated in the Montgomery boycott of 55 and 56 when he was a teen, as well as the Selma March when it came to Montgomery. He left Montgomery in '61 to attend Tuskegee University and then went on to law school at Howard University in Washington, D.C. He moved to Connecticut in 1968, and he began his career at New Haven Legal Assistance Association. And then he worked as a partner in the law firm of Jones, Turner & Wright. He was appointed to a judge in the Superior Court in 1989, and he retired from the judgeship in 2010. He currently works as a mediator, arbitrator, lawyer, and counsel in Guilford. He wrote this incredible book called Triumph, which he's going to tell us all about, which tells the story of a stable young Southern couple who moved to New Haven. The cost of living is so high in Connecticut, something we can all relate to here, right? That the husband has to work 2 jobs, and it tests the emotional stability of both the couple and the wife, particularly, who has 2 young children at home. Their story is intriguing and riveting, and it's got everything that is going to make it a bestseller. And like I said, I personally read the book. I couldn't put it down. It was absolutely incredible. So, Judge, tell us what inspired you to write this book and how it came to be, because it's absolutely incredible.
Okay, well, I sat in juvenile court for 8 years, and during that time I saw a lot of cases involving the need for intervention in the lives of children and their families. A particular case that stuck out in my mind was one involving Munchausen's by proxy. That's a syndrome in which a parent, generally the mother, feigns illness on behalf of the child in order to get attention, and in many cases injures the child in order to get attention, bringing the child to the doctor, having their neighbor said, "Oh, what a wonderful mother she is, taking care of her child. She has to keep going back to the doctor," but in fact, she's in fact harming the child. So I had one of those cases, and I used that particular case as inspiration in writing the novel. In addition, I wanted to show the reader what goes on in juvenile court, how it operates. If you go to the civil court or divorce court,
I spent a lot of time, unfortunately.
criminal court, you actually get a chance to walk inside the courtroom, sit down and see the whole process, see how the judge responds, see what the witnesses have to say, see the whole process. In juvenile court, you cannot do that.
Right.
The only way you can get into juvenile court is to have a case in juvenile court that involves you. So I wanted to let the reader come to court through this novel to see how the judge reacts, who are the players, and how the process works.
And I thought what's so intriguing about the book, the way that you did it, is each chapter, in the beginning you introduce us to the characters, but unlike a book where there'll be the main character and then he's in the primary, right? And then you have the other character sort of in the third party. Here, each character tells their story, which is incredible. So you're really getting deep within the characters themselves.
Thank you.
Which is exciting.
Thank you.
And also, I like how it shows a little corruption of our Connecticut system, right? Do we think that's real, or no comment?
No comment. Right.
What about, you had quite an exciting background growing up, in the birth of the civil rights movement. How did that shape you in becoming who you are today and lead you to a career in the law?
Well, when I was being raised in Montgomery, Alabama, I was there during the time when everything was separate, segregated actually. Black people could not go into a public area, such as a park or anything of that nature. And I want just to understand how the system operates and how the law can affect some sort of change. And so that motivated me to go to law school.
Okay. And what was your experience like in D.C.? I spent some time there.
Oh, yeah, it's a wonderful experience, yeah. Spent a lot of time at the Library of Congress doing research, and it's quite a city.
It is. Want to go back there as one of our representatives? I think that would be great.
If I can just jump in here,
Yep.
I have an interest in this just because I was telling you right before we came on, at some point when I lived in Atlanta, I was looking into getting into a CASA program, which is a court-appointed special advocates program. But I'm curious to know what are, and this can be either Connecticut or this can be a generalization as far as the United States, what are some of the biggest challenges? I always hear that there's a backlog in the court system when it comes to the juvenile detention system. Is that really the case, or is this just kind of things that we're hearing? How long is the average case to get moved through the system? What do you see as being one of the biggest challenges in Connecticut or nationally?
Sure. Connecticut, the juvenile court takes in about 14,000 cases a year.
Wow.
That's a lot of cases.
That is a lot of cases, yeah.
And among those cases, of course, are the criminal cases.
Right.
They're called delinquent cases because they're acts allegedly committed by youth. And if they were acts committed by adults, they would be called crimes. So we have the criminal cases, you have the cases involving children with special needs, and you have neglect cases. The cases move fairly swiftly, though, compared to previous times. And a lot of resources are dedicated to moving these cases. A lot of resources, a lot of money is spent. The Connecticut Department of Children and Families, for example, which interfaces with the juvenile court, has a budget of about $3 million a year.
For 14,000 cases, that doesn't seem to be a lot.
Yeah.
Am I not looking at the figures correctly? But for 14,000 cases coming through a year, is that
$3 billion a year, their budget, right?
DCF? $3 million.
$3 million.
3 million?
Wow,
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a lot. Is that, how is that in the big picture?
I think my figure is correct.
Oh, okay, okay.
But that could be an error.
Yeah, no, but yeah, okay.
Do you? I know there's been a lot of challenges with DCF. I mean, unfortunately, we hear the workers are overworked. There's a breakdown of the system. A lot of kids in foster care. But I know you're particularly complimentary of our current commissioner, Joette Katz, who was, by the way, a Supreme Court judge in Connecticut, and she stepped down, which is unusual to take on this task pursuant to Governor Malloy's request. And I hear she is doing a lot to improve the system. Can you tell?
She's doing a terrific job.
Yeah.
The number of cases per social worker has been reduced from about 17 to around 13.
That's huge.
That's great.
She's implemented a system of getting families more involved in decision makings regarding removing children or placement of children. And that includes not only the natural parents, but also if they're foster parents, she has a system whereby she brings all the foster parents in as well. And so there's a collaborative effort now to deal with the placement of children, reviewing what should be done with these children. So she's done a terrific job.
Yeah.
So what do you see as some of the biggest challenges we have in the foster system here in Connecticut?
I think, given all of the improvements that Justice Katz has made, there's not a tremendous amount of additional work that needs to be done.
Oh, that's good. Now, what about helping our youth move away from, and we talked about a little bit, I know you were listening to our opening segment, but how do we help these inner city communities in particular that are faced with the overburden challenges of, parents who are not available and kids, latchkey parents, or just more than that, just parents who are not present by virtue of being incarcerated themselves or not available or whatever. What more can be done to stop these youth from committing crimes and get them on the better paths? Like is it more resources we need? Is it training? What is it that you see that needs to change? Because one thing I see, Judge, is I do see a real separation between what's going on in the cities and what's going on in suburbia, because you and I both live right here on the shoreline, so it's almost like, oh, that's New Haven, so we don't have to deal with that, right? So. Well,
when I was in juvenile court in Bridgeport, I was trying to see what kind of resources could be made available to children after school hours, so that there would be recreational and also educational opportunities for kids after school hours. I think that would help tremendously.
Right, to better the system.
So I'm interested in reading the book because fortunately, I should find some wood. I haven't had experience with the juvenile court system. Other court systems, divorce, yeah, that kind of fun stuff. But no, not juvenile. Do you have the age demographics that you would recommend for this book? Teenagers, adults?
Starting with teens.
Teens? Okay.
Right. It's not a book for young, for the very young.
Okay.
And then adults, of course.
Yeah, I'm interested in reading it. And so what's the next step with the book? Are you on a book tour? Are you signing? You have engagements to...
Trying to sell it.
Where is it now available?
It's now available at Amazon, Books A Million, R.J. Julia,
Oh, great.
Breakwater Books. R.J. Julia's in Madison, Breakwater Books is in Guilford.
Fantastic.
And I know you can get it on BarnesandNoble.com as well.
Yes.
So I know one of the things you're hoping to do is to get it to become a screenplay or a miniseries. Tell us a little bit about that.
Are you?
Right.
That would be,
Ooh,
I think that would be like,
Well,
we need some, there's nothing like this, by the way. There's nothing on TV that really focuses like this. So
Thank you. The screenplay is being worked on now for a movie, but also I think the way it's designed, it could also be a TV miniseries.
yeah. Well, I want to be the commissioner in the book. 'Cause I think, but the
She's already
the
picked her
main yeah,
role.
it fits my role. The main character, Katie, is the infant that you have really going through her whole life in her system. Is she someone that you knew in your system? Does she remind you of someone, a case that you had possibly, a child that done good? Because her story is really a triumph.
Yes.
It's really a
No,
story of
no,
inspiration.
she's a creation.
Neat. Oh, that's fabulous. And so the next book, you have another one you've started
Well,
writing? I know you're working
I'm working
screenplay.
on a sequel to this book.
Okay.
I've started with some of the characters in here trying to take hold of, at least show their lives beyond this book.
So, being a fellow colleague, as a lawyer myself, what advice do you give young lawyers, maybe not so young lawyers, about the profession today? Because I know it's changed a lot. I mean, I've been in the profession close to 25 years, but what do you see as some really great thing? I think, we've talked about this offside. I think the legal profession is one of the best professions in the world. But what advice do you give young lawyers starting out in the profession?
Well, the law is something that I love. I love the law, and I love practicing law when I practiced law, and I loved being a judge when I was a judge. Just to be clear-headed as to what they want to do, and to work very hard, and also to expand their the contacts with people in the profession to get information, to work with the Connecticut Bar Association if they're going to be in Connecticut, to make sure to have all those connections, the group support.
And it is a profession you have to be committed to, right, Judge?
Yes,
So you're going
absolutely.
to talk to my husband and tell him that all these long hours at work is what's normal in the profession, right?
Oh, it is. It is.
And you have a very
Congratulations.
supportive wife, so that's why you've been able to do all
He
the
does.
successful
I love
things.
that.
Yes.
So folks, we want you all to go out and get this book, Triumph. It's absolutely incredible. I promise you won't put it down. You'll read it straight through, stay up all night, by the soon-to-be famous Judge, the Honorable Clarance Jones. And thank you, Judge Jones, for joining
Thank you.
us today.
Thank you
And it's
very much.
available on Amazon as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, welcome back to Just Sayin. And we are excited to be back again. And wasn't Judge Jones incredible?
He was
Yeah,
amazing.
He was
And I got to
remarkable.
tell you guys,
Distinguished. Was it like
he is.
Yes.
awesome?
He is.
He's great.
And I was clerking in Connecticut. I never was actually in front of him. I mean, when I was as counsel, but because he spent, like he said, the latter years in juvenile court, and I didn't do juvenile law. But he has a stellar reputation. He's absolutely incredible and a true gentleman. But I encourage you all to read the book. Everybody's got to read the book. But tell us, Erica, we've got some mailbag items. So what was one of the first topics?
So there's been some hot topics about Malloy allowing Syrian refugees to come into Connecticut. And
Just let 'em all
he's
in.
allowing them. And he says he's going to be, screening them and making sure they're okay. But
Yeah, he's going to personally shoot
Yeah,
him.
he's
like,
gonna,
I
yeah,
really
he's
trust
gonna,
that.
right,
I
yeah.
think because that news came out shortly, like within a couple of days of the Paris terror attack.
Yeah.
So I think the timing really wasn't that great for that
I
announcement.
wasn't up for it before, though.
Yeah.
We've got enough problems going on in the state. We're raising taxes. Who's paying for these refugees?
Well, the thing is, I mean, okay, they're saying that
Federal
they need a
government.
home, but look at how many homeless veterans we have here in this country. You know, and that's a crime to have that.
But
going
I
on.
think the other problem is that the concern I'm hearing is, and listen, a lot of our ancestors came here, you know, through other countries as immigrants and such. So, and, you know, and friends of ours came through Russia, you know, with the whole family. But my understanding is it's mostly Syrian males that are coming in. And that's
Young
a
males,
concern.
yeah.
So
Well, that's a
where's the
big
women?
concern.
Where's the children? I mean, where's the elderly? That's you know so
That's
what's
a
going
huge
on,
concern.
and we have a right to be concerned, right?
And
Oh,
where are they
absolutely.
going? Are they filling up our homeless shelters? Are they being housed in foster homes? Like,
No,
where are these?
they're rehoming programs. So my view is probably the one that is not very popular here at the table. So
No, I'm not. I'm saying, listen.
bring it.
I have been involved with organizations. There's a nonprofit in New Haven called Iris that actually rehomes refugees, and it's a wonderful organization. They do great work, and I've been you know, a supporter of theirs for a number of years. If anything, what happened in Paris gives me more clarity as to actually why we have the refugee situation that we have. I mean, what happened in Paris is exactly why these people are fleeing. I'm curious to know where the information about them being predominantly male Syrian males is coming from. I would question whether or not that's actually accurate, because the information that I've been seeing is a lot of women and children. I mean, these women want the best for their children, no different
Then
than any
that's
of us
different.
sitting at the
Then that's
table
different
do.
stuff, yeah.
And you know, I think it's really troubling that we just put this generic label on a broad group of people when there's a very small isolated group of people that are actually causing the hatred. I'm from the South. You know, for people to think that I'm you know, in the KKK would be ignorant. You know, yes, I have indoor plumbing just because I'm from Georgia. that would be like saying that every person of color is trying to fleece the system by living off entitlements. That's not the case. That would be like saying every person that's of Jewish descent is stingy.
You're right.
Or that would be untrue. So I think what we need to really kind of start doing is looking at the greater problem, taking these people in, because all of us, our heritage does go back to ancestors coming in, and just figuring out a way. Am I for people coming to our country and blowing us up? Absolutely not. It's a real problem, and I don't have
It's a security issue.
a solution to the
That's
problem.
a catch-22.
Fear,
But I
though,
think
you have to
this-
admit, fear makes.
Even tourists, not even just living here. I mean, I have a huge security concern in every public event that my family and I are going to be attending. And my son likes to go to New Year's Eve in Times Square. I'm freaking out this year of him doing that. That's not. It's awful.
But see, that's what terrorists are all about, is
They want
instilling
that
the fear in
fear.
everybody,
Yeah, well,
so
it's
that your
worked.
freedom is taken away.
Right.
That's exactly
Well,
it.
that's what happened after 9/11.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch to a lighter topic.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, you want to say? I'm
I
sorry.
wanted to say
No,
something.
go, Jody, please.
I saw an interesting post on Facebook this morning, and it was about likening this to when the 2 Ebola cases came into the country, and we jumped all over that, and we isolated and quarantined those people because we were afraid of a disease spread. Fell down.
But you're right, Jody. You're
But,
right.
but the person was likening this to that situation where we jumped all over. We were terrified that Ebola was going to spread, and here they were likening this situation to a disease that could infiltrate our country as well.
Yeah.
You know, I'm with you, Erica. I'm scared now
Yeah.
because you don't know where this is coming from.
Yeah.
Anybody can show up with a bomb.
But I mean, even our own citizens of the United States have done this, so it's not like it's all serious people. You're
I
right.
know. We could talk all day.
We
Oh my
could
God.
talk all
Listen,
day.
the only thing I have to say is it's unfortunate that I used to say everybody should be able to get along, and then I realized families can't get along. So what can we expect? Oh, she's shutting us off. Well, listen, folks, thank you for an incredible show today. Judge Jones, again, was wonderful.
Yes,
Please
buy
go out
the
and buy
book.
his book, Triumph, on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com.
RJ Julia.
Incredible read, RJ Julia.
Breakwater.
And thank you all for joining us, and cheers, be safe,
Cheers.
and see you next time.
Just saying.
Just saying.
Ah, there we go.